All right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Seven Figures or Bust podcast, the number one podcast in the world for growing your insurance business. This episode 111.
Ooh, triple ones.
Triple ones. I'm Christian Brindle, Glenn Shelton, and we got a great episode for you guys today. Good morning.
We do.
Good morning. If you're watching live, first off, I wanted to say apologies for anybody that is an avid live listener. We had a little bit of a technical difficulty, so we're a little late starting today, but we managed to get it going, and here we are.
We did it. I was wrestling the old StreamYard there for a few minutes. Then the funny part is so we finally fixed that. We got the intro playing. I go to pick up my phone. My phone will not turn on right now. I don't know. It was fully charged. Is Mercury in retrograde? Does technology hate me? Should I hide under my bed for the rest of today? I'm scared. I'm scared where this is going to go from here.
It just makes me think that, the first thing that comes to my mind is I'm like, today you are the boomer.
I guess.
You can't figure out your technology today.
Normally on my phone, I'm reading the comments you guys during the live stream. So I will answer your comments after the live stream if you are commenting while we're talking today. So Boomer Glenn is here. Hello.
Well, before we get into the main topic today,
yes,
I think we'd be cheating the audience a little bit if we didn't mention OKC going to the finals, eliminating
I don't want to talk about it.
Minnesota.
I don't want to talk about it. This OKC Pacers thing is just nauseating. Me and Adam Silver are texting each other every night, late at night, how disappointed we both are.
I was almost right. I predicted Boston, OKC in the finals. I was half right.
Half right. My phone just turned on. Without touching it. Possessed. I'm telling you right now.
I wanted to read some stats that I found super interesting.
Oh, God. Here we go. Start with Westbrook. Start with Westbrook stats, okay? I want to hear more about Westbrook.
36% from the field. No, I'm just kidding. 7 turnovers a game, 3 assists a game. Anyway, I just had this perception from what I saw that Shea just completely outplayed Edwards. And I think you can make that argument, but it's not that Edwards was horrible. So here's SGA's numbers for this series at Western Conference Finals. Just under 31 a game, over 8 assists a game, almost 5 rebounds a game. So that's elite, right? 31, 8, and 5. 46% from the field, 32% from 3, 86% from the free throw line, 36 minutes a game. So compare that to Edwards. 23 a game. That's a little low for him. 7.5 rebounds a game. 4.6 assists a game. 47% from the field, so that's good. 28% from 3. I think that's what killed them. 68% from the free throw line. That's not good for him. 37 minutes a game. So I was thinking about this. I think the Thunder have a better team. They just have a deeper team. They have more good players. And SGA is, I didn't realize this until yesterday. I think he's like 26. He's 3 years older than Ant.
I saw that come up this morning. Basically Edwards. So, and I feel bad for Edwards, the Can't Man. That's kind of a low blow to take his nickname. And
last year he's 22. This year he's 23. Back-to-back years at that age. Taking your team to the Western Conference Finals is no joke.
Correct.
You eliminate last year. They eliminated the Nuggets and Jokic, who won the MVP last year. This year they eliminate Luka and LeBron. And they eliminated Golden State. I mean, no Curry, but it's one of those things where like SGA is a little bit more developed. I think he's older. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Edwards as he gets older. Like they always say in basketball, you don't hit your prime till you're like for most players till you're like 25, 26, something like that.
Assuming you don't have a serious injury by then, right? I mean,
Derrick
the
Rose style.
yeah. Rest in peace, Derrick Rose. I know you're still with us, but not on the court. The comment I saw this morning about this, it said, "I will give you $2 million if you show me a tape of SGA winning the the Western Conference Finals or the Eastern Conference Finals when he was 22 or 23," because it doesn't exist, right?
Sure.
Shea wasn't doing that when he was Edwards' age. If there's one thing I can add to this conversation this morning, as I kind of, disappointedly watched this win happen last night, and already knew it was coming. It was just a matter of when, not if. But it's Rudy Gobert, the giraffe on ice skates, as I call him. If there's one player, if we
I know
have
him
to,
well. I know him well.
I know you do. I know you do. If there's one player on the court during this series that you really want to point a finger at someone, it's Rudy. His stat, like during the Lakers series, again, they didn't have a center. So Rudy was out there looking like me playing against my kids. Rudy was putting up 20-point game. He had that 27-point game or something crazy.
23 rebounds or whatever it was.
Yeah. And you're watching that series and you're like, oh my gosh, Rudy's in his prime right now. Like they're going to go. They're going to go. And then that's what it looked like, right? It looked like Rudy was just ready to rock it off. And then all of a sudden he just turns into a ghost in this series. Hartenstein's, he's not a great shooter, but man, he's physical, bro, on OKC. Mm-hmm. That dude scares me. I would hate to ball against him. He'd probably crush me.
Which guy? Which guy again?
Hartenstein.
Oh yeah. He's a bruiser, as they say.
He's huge, bro. He's huge.
Yeah,
he was going up against Jokic, and he was able to body Jokic. Jokic is massive, bro.
He had a breakout season last year for the Knicks. Did well in the playoffs. He provided them that physical big presence, and he was the big free agent signing that OKC had this summer. So going into the playoffs, one of the reasons I picked them to go to the finals is I'm like, I don't think they have any weaknesses. Like they have the superstar player, high scoring player in SGA. They have great second option in Jalen Williams. They have depth, tons of players, but they also have size. Like you look at the Lakers, what killed them? They didn't have size. They were little
Billies up there.
Yeah. Not only did they have Hartenstein, who's just a behemoth. They have Chet, who's not girthy, but he's not he's not thick or anything like that. He's kind of skinny, but he's always got long arms. He's kind of Wemby like in a lot of ways. He's playing the core for them. Yes. So I was like, they have a lot of size. Like I just looked at them. I'm like, I don't see any weaknesses on this team. And yeah, Hartenstein, I think, provided them the one thing they were missing last year.
Yeah, I think the key thing, this is, I just commented, guys, I got the stream pulled up on my phone. I'm back. I just commented, I'm back. I'm in the chat. So I can see your comments now. Freebie Friday, comment below. You could win tomorrow. You want a key denominator in who always ends up winning the NBA Finals, and I'll tell you right now, I think this is almost every single time. I'd say without a doubt, it's depth. It's depth at the bench. You don't do what freaking JJ did. You don't run your starters the whole game and win a series, dude. No. The finals are a marathon. Are you kidding me? How many games they have to play?
That's why I didn't pick the Knicks to go as far as they did, because that's what they do. They play 6 guys every night, But I think there's a couple characteristics. So you think about it, right? Last year, Boston won. Year before that, Denver won.
Denver was really deep that year too.
Yeah, year before that, I think Milwaukee won. I'd have to look. You look at all those teams. They had 2 things. They had 3 things, actually. 1, they had depth, like you're saying. 2, they had a superstar player that could carry them, that could score points in bunches when the
When
game
needed.
slows down,
Right.
and when they,
Right.
and then the third thing is they were really good defensively. You have to have all three of those things. So, like, you can have a really, like, you look at Houston, right? Houston has a really deep team, but they don't have like the superstar. That's why they didn't go farther. So you need like that superstar player, the Tatum, the Jokic, the Giannis, the SGA to go.
I don't know if would you add health in there too? Like, you
Yeah,
need these players to
yeah,
stay healthy. I
that's
mean,
probably
that's a key
4.
piece of. I think if the Nuggies were healthier, they may have had a chance at it this year. They were coming in with it's like a beater car. You're just trying to get to the gas station. That's the Nuggies playoff run this year.
You look at the year they won. They had guys like Bruce Brown,
Yep,
Contavious Caldwell Pope. Like, they lost a ton of their depth.
they did.
So
They
like
absolutely did.
their most relied on bench player is Westbrook, and that's why I kept saying, I'm like, they're gonna fucking lose.
Westbrook, baby.
39% Westbrook.
I'm gonna get you a Westbrook cardboard cutout. Just like I have Dr. Ozzy, you're gonna have Westbrook with you at all time. I want Westbrook to be with you all time.
Yeah,
Um,
but yeah, no, interesting. I'm sure Indiana's gonna win, close that series out.
for
Did
sure.
They didn't already win, did they? Am I behind?
No, tonight's game 5,
Tonight's,
I believe.
yeah, tonight's
Um,
probably the end.
I have a couple other intro topics here I want to talk about before we get to the main topic today, which is a great one, you guys. If I started over today, ... I would not get my life health license. Sorry for the spoiler alert. This
Whoa! What a twist!
industry sucks, guys. Get out, get out, get out, get out, get out. The sky is falling. The sky is falling. Couple other intro topics for today before we get to the main one, though. So one is I made a post. Did you see my post I made this morning in the group?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. The IUL post.
Yes.
I commented on it.
I didn't see your comment. So you're actually more up to date than me. Guys, I don't know what happened. I don't know who hurt you. I don't know if there's a religious leader out there that I'm not aware of that's leading the charge on this IUL thing. Something happened to a group of agents, and you guys got so bought into IULs that you don't see anything else but IULs anymore. Like, someone could post and be like, hey, my car broke down, what do I do? And one of these IUL agents will jump in and be like, well, if you had overfunded your IUL 3 years ago, you could go buy a new car right now and you could borrow against your policy and it would be tax free. We don't need this much IUL intervention in our lives on a daily basis. I think what happened, and I'll tell you my theory, and then I'd love to hear what your thoughts, but I think what happened is there's some groups out there where they don't have their agents sell anything else. They're essentially training these armies of life agents, these small militia army of life agents, and all they have in their bag is an IUL. They don't know anything else. They literally don't know anything else. So if you're a hammer, everything's a nail. And I think they're just going around IUL, IUL, IUL. And it's like it has a place. IULs have a place. I've sold IULs. I do believe in IULs, but it's getting out of hand. I really do. I stand by that. I think it's getting out of hand. What are your thoughts on this? Is this a crisis? Am I crazy?
I feel like I'm not as up to speed on it as you are. There's the thing. The life world, right? The life communities, the groups, the agent
I love how you talk about like it's like a different continent. You're
that's exactly where I'm going. That's exactly where I'm going, right? It's like the hip hop community. There's this whole world going on, and I'm completely unaware of it. There's stories, there's drama, there's headlines. It's almost like the other side of a coin. It's the demon world to our normal world.
West side.
The west
east side versus the west side.
You go across the train tracks. I couldn't tell you what happens over there, So I feel like I'm always so disconnected from it's fascinating for me to watch and hear about from time to time. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I don't know what that's all about,
Yeah.
It's almost when I think about it very closely, I think about an army of hamsters that can't see eye to eye. running around. They're in there. I think of 30 hamsters in one container, whatever you call it.
30 hamsters.
And they're arguing, they're squeaking, they're fighting over the water bottle. There's one water bottle. And
I did not think we were going to go here, but we did. This is amazing.
yeah.
This index IUL has a floor. You can't lose more than your principal.
Mortgage protection doesn't have a place. Like,
give me the water. So, and the life audience is gone. We just lost all the life insurance agents who listened and watched this show. I'm sorry, you guys. We think there's a place for you and we love you, but sometimes you guys get out of hand, and
the life community
check you.
And the hip hop community are one and the same as far as I'm concerned.
I keep thinking about like an old school musical, and it's like Medicare agents and final expense agents, and we're just like, it's like a dance off. We're just like
West Side Story.
Yeah, West Side Story. Oh yeah, what are you guys gonna do about it? You hamsters. We just called you hamsters.
Remember the first Anchorman? It's like, what are you gonna do about it? He's like, you want to dance? I don't want to dance, Ron. Pulls out a switchblade. I want a polka.
Yeah, that's exactly. I'm sitting here thinking, what if I came out for my summit talk, and I wheel out. I'm imagining wheeling out a live hamster. What if I had a hamster in a giant cage? I just wheel it out. I'm like, guys, I want you to be the newest agent. Newest life insurance agent to come to the summit today.
You've been asking for it for years. A life insurance agent on the stage. Here we go.
Oh my gosh! Shots fired. I'm gonna cue in the audience on this one. Last year, post summit celebration, there was some discussion over,
to put it lightly,
an analogy came up of life insurance sales and the old hamster wheel. And we've had a hard time letting go of that one since that came up, and
it's just so funny. It just never stops.
So funny. It just feels like we're trying to start a turf war. It really does. It feels like it's like
this is the my mic here. For those of you watching on camera, is the water.
Oh my gosh! I love how we've spent so much time behind the scenes this year. We're like, how do we get more life agents in our audience? And we sit here and just destroy them for 10
all
minutes.
The progress gone in
just got
6 minutes.
6 minutes, half a year. Who cares, right? It's okay. We're having fun, so that's all.
We like the life agents.
Okay, really fast. I did have one other intro topic I was going to bring up here. Is
please
completely different. Is social media's algorithm, have we seen a jump in how good it's getting? Are you feeling that? Are you seeing that? And one, I'll reference one thing specifically that's happened recently. Oh my gosh, some people are dropping hamster emojis in the chat. Guys, if you think there's hamsters here in the group, drop a hamster emoji in the chat. We'd love to see it.
But I feel like the last time we talked about this openly and publicly, there was an extremely offended life agent that came for you. Came for your life in a way.
I was told how disrespectful. They were very I mean it in the most lighthearted way, as someone who's sold hundreds of thousands of dollars of life insurance on my own pen.
Who comes more probably from the life background than anything.
100%. I'm making fun of myself, really, if I'm being honest. I was on that wheel for many, many, many years. Trust me. So that's why I feel like I'm allowed to say that. But do you remember the marketing meeting we had? We had this marketing meeting, and I said, "Watch, I'm going to say trampoline 100 times," and we all started saying trampoline. I have gotten non-stop. I'm not kidding. Non-stop ads for trampolines since that mark.
Interesting.
I told you.
I was paying attention to my what I was being targeted with, and I wasn't targeted by any ads. I was kind of shocked for trampolines. Which I'm, I probably said it in that meeting as much as anyone. And yeah, I don't know if the algorithm was able to catch on that I was trolling it a little bit.
This isn't real. He doesn't actually want one.
Not genuine interested. Glenn actually does want one.
Glenn has one.
I had one. I did not keep it. I got rid of it. Story for another day. But no, I think I'm assuming we're exclusively talking about with paid ads. Yeah, I think the algorithm is unbelievable. Probably because it does some extremely violating things to get your information in terms of, listening to you and everything else like that,
Old Zucky boy violating us.
But yes, I would agree.
Here's my theory. Okay, to kind of cut to the middle of this, I think over the past 18 months, and this isn't like a conspiracy theory because a lot of this is being publicly shared by Facebook. I think they've really worked on integrating AI into their algorithm over the past 12 to 24 months. And I think we're seeing the results of it with some of the targeting. I just watched an interview with Zuckerberg in the past week, and he talks about how he believes their algorithm is going to get to the point here soon where it will be so advanced that you won't even have to deal with creatives. You will literally just tell Facebook what your goal is. I am an insurance agent and I'm trying to get in front of more final expense prospects. And I would like it within this area and these ages, whatever. And then it just finds them and you don't do anything else. He genuinely believes that the Facebook algorithm is going to be that sophisticated in the very near future here, which is, again, we spend an incredible amount of time with creatives and what works, what doesn't work, right? I mean, we're constantly so. I mean, think about that for a future. What do you think about that?
I could totally see it. I could totally see it going in that direction. Do I think it's going to happen in the next year or two? I don't, but maybe 5 years out or something like that. Maybe we're at a point for that. It's comparing it. So I first started running my first ads in, I want to say 2018 or 19, and comparing the algorithm now to where it was then is so dramatically unbelievable how much it's changed and how much the platform has changed. And, and it's kind of like most things, right? The pendulum has swung back and forth with it. It started out very simplistic and then it got more complicated. And now I feel like it's swung the other way to where if you know what you're doing, it's more simplistic once again, right? Especially with with the ad categories. Ad categories, most people think that's a bad thing, but if anything, it just takes less specific targeting that you need to put in out of the equation and letting the algorithm do more work for you. And it's more about making it clear what your ad is for, right?
Yeah.
And so in a way, if you're doing that and you're doing a good job at that, it makes it easier for your ads to perform, to where the algorithm's doing more of the work and there's not as much guesswork on your end on do I need to target this person? Do I need to target that person? It's taking just less need for you to worry as much about targeting. Definitely still matters and it's relevant and everything like that. But the algorithm is, compared to 2 years ago, let's say, I think the algorithm is doing 60% of the targeting for you that you would have had to really manually enter in yourself and customize.
I think this is a great segue into the sponsor of today's episode 111, the Seven Figures or Bust podcast that you are listening to or watching to right now. Recently, Christian and also some members of our team, I think, also helped to kind of go through what's the latest with meta ads, advertising on the Facebook and Instagram platforms. It's constantly evolving, right?
Yes.
Like Christian just said, this is a constantly evolving topic. And you're talking to a company that's going to spend probably right around 7 figures on just meta ads, on just meta ads. We're going to probably be right around there. It just kind of depends on what the AAP ends up looking like for us at ESI. But at Seven Figure University, Christian just provided some of the latest information for university members and downline ESI premier agents who are also in there. Hire Heroes clients are also in there. So, by working with us or being a student at the Seven Figure University, you guys get this information. We're going to make sure you're getting the latest information, that you know what's going on, because again, we're involved in this. We're doing this. We are figuring these changes out in real time at ESI, at our businesses. And then we're literally passing that information along to university members. And there's no additional cost. So Christian, why don't you get into that? I know we got a special deal going right now, and I think it ends tomorrow.
Yes. Seven Figure University is over 85% off for lifetime access. No recurring fees. Normally it's a $5,000 offer, which is still underpriced. There's courses that are not even half of what you get for $10,000, $15,000, something like that. It's specified for specifically the Medicare business, although there's some ACA stuff, some final expense stuff in there, cross-selling, other things like that. But it teaches you everything you need to know. And so up until tomorrow, today, at the time of recording this, it's May 29th. May 30th is the last day. It's available for $695.95 for lifetime access. I had somebody reach out to me that bought the course probably 4 years ago, if I had to guess, this morning. And they're like, hey, I bought Six Figure Medicare University, which is what it was previously called. We rebranded it, renamed it with the Facebook group. And they were like, I paid for lifetime access. They were under the impression that Seven Figure University was a different program. They're like, I'd like to get into that, but I can't get into this old one. Can I buy the new one? And I took a look at it and I'm like, you're already a member. You've paid before. We're not going to make you pay again. And so I sent a communication off to our team asking to get them into the new platform that we use to host it. And he just was so, I think he was a little surprised, was the impression I got. And he was like, wow. He's like, I paid for that all these years ago. And I still have access to all this new content and ever evolving content. That's what you get. That's what you get with this platform. There's nothing like it. There's nothing better on the market. It's all inclusive. And it's the latest, greatest how to crush it on all sides of your business in the space. So take advantage of it today while you can. It's not going to be this is the first time all year we've discounted it. All year. We're basically 6 months in to the year.
And I'm not sure if we'll discount it again anytime soon. Again, we just have so much going on with helping our existing university students that are in there. It's tough. We can't take on too many at once.
Right.
So 250 plus videos, hundreds of hours of content, live calls every single week, and training that's continuously being updated and modified with the latest and greatest information, like meta ads, like we just talked about. So do not wait. Do not sleep on this. If you have not already enrolled into sevenfigureu.com and you're hearing this, it is your sign to sign up today. $695, essentially the one client that you will definitely get from this university will pay for it for life. You'd be crazy if you're thinking about getting into the Medicare space or the senior insurance space in any shape or form. You would be crazy or as my co-host likes to say, you would be a wackadoo if you do not sign up for this before this discount goes away. So again, that ends tomorrow night at midnight. The link is in the chat. So click on it while you can and sign up. sevenfigureu.com.
Yes. All right, let's shift gears, right?
Yes.
If I started over today,
Yes.
when you first hear this, let's say you snap your fingers, you know everything you know today,
Oof.
but you've lost everything you've built. I'm gone.
No.
You don't have me anymore.
No.
You don't have any of our staff, anything like that.
God.
And you just got your license. But you know everything you know today. What does that beginning look like in 2025?
This episode of the Seven Figures or Bust podcast is brought to you by the Seven Figure University. sevenfigureuniversity.com is a culmination of Christian Brindle's and mine's educational videos that we have developed over the past 2 decades of combined experience in the senior insurance space. There's more than 250 videos, hundreds of hours of content that can help you become a top producer or a top producing agency in the senior insurance space. We're talking about videos of how to work with specific carriers, how to do different types of marketing, such as seminars or Facebook advertising, how to generate content in the niche to help grow your business, how to grow an agency, all sorts of things. There's so much value in this. It's unbelievable. Christian, what do agents need to know about Seven Figure University?
Seven Figure University can best be thought of as an agency blueprint in a box that's put together for you that brings you step by step in every facet of building a successful seven-figure insurance agency and lays it out all in front of you so you can follow along. Whether you guys need help with marketing, whether you guys need help with branding, whether you guys need help with hiring, training, standard operating procedures, systems and processes, automation, you name it, it's covered in this course. Not only that, you get access to my weekly training calls every Thursday that go from January through the end of September on a week-to-week basis. And you can attend those live and ask questions live. And then, of course, the recordings are put into the university afterward if you can't attend it and make the live training. So there's just so much value. It's the gift that keeps on giving, and it's a great investment into your business to kind of keep you up to date on what's going on, but also kind of point you in the right direction in various things that you're struggling with.
Some of the best training you'll be able to find, you guys, in one spot for one price. Go to sevenfigureuniversity.com and learn more.
Let's get back to the show.
I'm going to take kind of a quick sidebar on this because it relates to a conversation I had yesterday. It's actually something I wanted to talk to you privately about, but we just haven't had time because there's too much going on in our business and in our lives that we don't even, it just feels like every time we talk, it's like, what happened? What happened to you? What happened to me? Okay. It's
like, are we still in business? No.
What happened to you in the last 5 hours? Oh, then we just run to the next day.
Whoa! On a day-to-day basis, it's like a year has transpired.
It literally is, yeah. Oh my gosh, but I had a conversation with an agent yesterday afternoon, late afternoon, and one of their downline agents essentially had a serious event happened in their life, and they basically did hit the reset button. Age-wise, I think this individual is probably somewhere in their late 30s, if I had to guess. I don't really know. Okay. And that individual is taking the path of, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to live anymore because they have essentially lost everything. And me and the upline were talking on the phone about this situation yesterday. And my immediate reaction is like, you have so much time and you know so much. Like I know this individual and like they've been through so like I know you know so much of how to do things. like that knowledge, to have that knowledge, to be able to work off a foundation of that knowledge is so valuable. I mean, you think back to when, we first got started in this industry. I didn't know what actually held value and what didn't hold value. And you have all of these different perspectives and information sources and people coming to you trying to tell you things like, hey, you need to do this or don't do this. The one that I'm infamous for bringing up, that I'll definitely bring up again on today's episode, is I was told there's no money in Medicare from the second I stepped in the door with my license. And I believed it to be true for years. I was like, oh, selling Medicare, you're a sucker. There's no money in Medicare. And I'd almost like be smug about it. And I had no idea what was going on in Medicare. I was just regurgitating what I was told. So, if I were to start over today, or if you are like that agent I mentioned and you hit a wall and you literally have to reset, which it happens to some of us, right? Being able to work off that foundation of knowledge that you have, you should be able to get to where you are today 100 times faster. If I were to go back to day one and I were to really start over, and let's say this was happening tomorrow, I definitely getting involved in Medicare. I would like to, I signed up to be a life agent pretty much out the gate, but I'd like to think that I would put together a plan where if I was starting with life, that I could execute on that path into Medicare and really become like a true agency. There's a big difference in operating as an individual agent and as an agency. And you can be an individual agent that operates as an agency, and that's really the pathway to help you grow into an agency. And I think that's a whole conversation probably right there in and of itself. But some of my early thoughts as I'm thinking about like starting over, what do you think about that? What are some of your first thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of my start, I think I was fortunate in how I came in without knowing it at the time. So I didn't come in a bad situation. I didn't come in under like a bad upline or anything like that. I came in under my dad, in this scenario, let's say that didn't happen. I would probably go the same direction that I went. I would go Medicare, because I feel like for me it's been the foundational building block of the company, and I just feel like it's scalable. There's opportunity there. There's so much potential in it if you're good at it, and very few are.
What would you do? What would you do differently though?
Yeah, so here's what I would do differently. At the beginning, I've talked about this on the show before. The way I got business was really difficult. Cold calling 5-year-old direct mail leads. Everything was just kind of fighting and clawing. And so my early years, it took me longer to grow versus what I was capable of, I think. So what I would do from the get-go is what I teach agents to do right now. What I tell agents to do, because when you come in, you either have time or money.
Yeah.
Usually you don't have money. Let's just assume I don't have money.
Assume you have no money. Assume you have time.
Number one, I'm going to figure out a budget that I can spend every month, whatever it is. I don't care if it's $200, $300 a month and that's it. Whatever I can spend that I can commit to without not being able to pay my mortgage, right? Or feed my children or something like that. What can I spend every month? And if that's zero, then so be it. But if there is any number there, I'm going to commit to that. I'm going to allocate to that, and it's going to be like a bill. I have to spend it every month, like paying your utilities or something.
Yes. Yep.
And I'm going to spend that on marketing and leads. I don't think. Let's say my budget's $200 a month. That's not enough, I feel like, to run a Facebook ad campaign and really get anywhere. So I'm going to buy leads.
Yep.
Now that's not enough leads to keep me busy. So I'm going to get out into the community. I'm going to do the grassroots thing. because
I'm gonna do the grassroots thing, baby.
because what else? Here's my question to people. What else can you do if you don't have any money? You either have time or money to give. So in this scenario, I have more time to give. So I'm going to get out. I'm going to build referral partnerships. I'm going to try to do Medicare 101s. I'm going to try to get in on 55 and up communities, things that I did in the past that worked. I'm going to try to do that for 6 months. At that point, I have more clientele coming in, more business coming in. I'm filling the pipeline. I have more revenue coming in. And then I'm going to scale that the grassroots efforts back. And I'm going to scale my lead flow and spending on leads and running ads and marketing up. Because I have less time to give, more money to give. So I'm going to balance that out.
Yeah.
And then the goal would be to get to a point where I'm doing it all based off of spending money and generating marketing and everything like that, or maybe like 5% in the community. Like for us at ESI, we still do some things in the community, but it's so much less than it ever was before. It's such a small percent of what we do.
Right.
A vast majority of what we do is we spend money on leads and marketing efforts and things like that. So that's what I would do differently, to where in my original story, I didn't really buy leads much here and there, but I didn't really buy leads much or spend money on my business for many years. I didn't hire anybody until I was going into basically my 5th, 6th year. I would have hired somebody really a lot faster. I would have started staffing up to help me. I cold called for the first 3-4 years. I wouldn't have done that. I would have been on a much quicker trajectory to the point that we're at right now.
So let me ask you something, because my question is exactly this, is exactly what you're about to say, is like how quickly. So, we talked on the show publicly, we're doing between 7 and 8 figures. Our goal is to get to 8 figures here as quickly as we can, and we're on that road right now. So obviously, where we're at. I know where we're at. If you were to start over tomorrow, knowing everything that you know and how you've gotten this far, how quickly could you get back to here?
I think
if you had to guess. Obviously, this is a guess, but I have an idea in my head, but I'm curious what yours is.
I'm optimistic, but I'm not so optimistic that I'm going to say I could do it in 1 or 2 years. I think it would probably realistically be around like 5 years.
I was more optimistic than I was guessing. I would like to think I could get back here in 3 years. What's taken 10, I'd like to think I could do it in 3, just by knowing what works and doesn't work and all of those things over a 10-year span. I'd like to think I could kind of shortcut and do it again in 3 years or less.
Here's why I say 5, and I love that 3-year projection. The first number that came into my head, but I didn't say it, was between 3 and 5 years. But then when I processed it, I was like 3 years might be aggressive. That first year in particular, when you have nothing, is going to be the slowest year. Right?
That's a big deal. That's the big year, in my opinion,
because
coming off that year.
To get there in 3 years, it takes a massive amount of spending and investment that you just don't have right away. So you're kind of building a foundation from almost nothing. And that's why I hesitated to say shorter than 5. But that being said, it's certainly possible, but it would probably involve tremendous amount of risk, huge amount of risk. It's less risky because you know what you're doing, but like I'm talking about like taking loans out and stuff like that.
Leveraging up.
And like we take loans out to do things like buy books of businesses and things like that now, but we have the money to pay it back. When you're starting from ground zero, that's so terrifying. Just like thinking about it in my mind, like trying to visualize putting myself in there. Not saying I wouldn't do it, but I probably would have to chew on it, because it's one of those things where you have to. I believe that there'd be a return that is delivered, but would it be fast enough? Right?
Yeah.
Would it be fast enough?
Does this conversation make you want to try to start over?
No.
Does it? See,
No!
it makes me want to trade. Like we talked about doing like the undercover billionaire thing, where like
Yeah.
we get dropped off in a city, we have nothing but paper apps or whatever, right?
See, that type of thing where it's like a temporary thing, it's like a contest. I'm all
Yeah.
right with that. But, the thought of starting over for real, like
Terrifying.
legitimately, that
Terrifying you.
that's fairly frightening. And also like devastating, right? Because it's like an entire life's work gone in a sense, for me anyway, and I know for you too.
Well, yeah, but here's the other side of it though. Is like think how much better you could build it next time, knowing what you
Oh,
know
yeah.
now.
It would
It would be so much cleaner and better. Like so
all
much.
all the mistakes would be avoided.
Yeah.
All of them. So that's true.
Build
But
it back better. Build what was the saying? Build back better.
build it, yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
Something like that. But no, like I think yeah, I'm not saying it would be impossible in 3 years. I just think it would be fairly optimistic. But I do feel extremely confident that 5 years, it's almost like a for sure thing, as long as I didn't have some like devastating health condition pop up or something like that,
Yeah. So the hiring thing I think is a valid point. I didn't hire my first staff member or assistant for 2.5 years. 2.5 years. So, one of the first thing, if I could start scaling a team up year one, 6 months in, I'm scaling a mini. I'm starting to incubate my future executive team in my first 6 months versus hiring a part-time assistant in 2.5 years. That's the type of foresight that I have today that I could have never done. I can't even imagine telling my past self, being like, you need to start incubating a small team of executives that will help you run. Yeah. And I'm like,
then you're like,
sure.
huh?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm gonna make rent next month.
Right, yeah.
I'm like, no. Don't worry about rent. Don't worry about rent.
Living with a roof over your head is overrated, young Padawan.
Don't worry about that. Don't worry about the kids, the food. Start incubating a small executive team that will help you, manage your empire down the road in 2, 3, 4, 5 years. But again, it's that type of foresight of like knowing the obstacles that are going to happen in the future and being able to kind of build in what needs to happen and what you need to have and the staff you need to have, the SOPs that didn't even exist for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. That's something you can start with day one.
Yeah.
A CRM. I didn't have a CRM for years.
Same.
Years.
File
Day
cabinets,
one.
paper apps.
Day one, I have a CRM. Day one, I have a customer service SOP. Like all of these things that took a decade to develop, a lot of it you could roll out day one and it would make a huge impact, I feel like.
Yeah. I think the biggest obstacle is not any of that starting over. I think it's starting with no capital and trying to drum up the capital, right? That's the hardest part of all of this, in my opinion.
So what do you do? If you need capital, you're on day one. What do you do?
Well, my answer was hit the street, sell, start building the clientele up as quickly as possible. That was my answer. I mean, the other answer you could do is take out massive loans and everything like that. But I feel like the route I presented was much safer.
Yeah.
The other route probably has the potential to get you where you want to go faster, but it's much more risky. If that, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
I'm looking at it from the perspective of when I started, I wasn't married. I didn't have children. Whereas now I do. And so my risk tolerance at that point at a ground zero level might not be as high,
Right.
I guess.
Totally fair. You know, I think that's part of the game, especially as you grow your company bigger, is the risk tolerance changes for sure. What you're willing to, it's that risk versus reward that you kind of have to process. I think there's a few different strategies you could implement early on if you really are trying to grow aggressively and you really want capital. It's tough. I do get this question from new agents sometimes, like if they're reaching out to lead heroes or hire heroes, and if I'm end up on a webinar or a Zoom call or whatever, and I'm talking to an agent, this comes up frequently. How do I get loans? How do I get capital? And just being blunt and honest with you guys, it can be tough when you're brand new and you don't have
Mhm.
like a history of financials that you can go show the bank.
Right. Histories, collateral, all this stuff that they're going to want.
Yes. Yes.
So like, that's why I hesitate like starting day one with that route, because I'm thinking to myself, I can go get a loan today, even today, with the size of business that we have. At times, sometimes getting those is challenging.
Sure.
So I can only imagine what it would be like
If you're
in
brand
those.
new.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So that's why I think like pounding the pavement is probably going to be my most likely option to starting to build that foundation back up again. Temporarily.
No.
I don't think I'd do it for years, but maybe I do it for 6 months.
Okay, it's something that came up on the show during our Book of Business episode that I've thought a lot about, that I thought would be kind of a dream if I were to restart. I actually remember this now that it just kind of came up in my head. Finding an agent who has a book of business that you like and facilitating a deal where you're going to take over the book and they're going to retire. Kind of having this, this could look like many different things. I think the way the actual detail points of the deal, like how it actually works, I think could work a few different ways. But again, if you can come in and have essentially like, it's almost like a rent to own on the business, and all of a sudden you have access to a book of clients, maybe 5,000 clients, 10,000 clients, whatever it is.
Yeah, that's a great point that I didn't think of. I actually said this on stage in Nashville earlier this year.
It's a great one.
Probably the fastest thing to do is to find an older agent without an heir that has an established business and try to build in some type of succession plan where you can take over for them and allow them to retire. And then instantly you have 1,000, 2,000 clients under your belt, right? That's probably what I would do. I'd look for that guy immediately.
What are they going to do? What are they going to do when they retire?
Yeah.
If they don't have a succession plan. And how many of these guys, we've been dealing with a lot of older agents trying to retire or get out of the business. How many of these agents have any type of plan in place?
Probably very few.
10%, less than 10% have a succession plan. So you're coming in and you're helping them with a serious problem they have. They don't want to pass away or retire and just leave all of their clients to the carrier and stop helping their clients. Like, most of these agents are terrified of that.
Yeah. That's an absolutely great point. And I'd kind of forgotten about that. But yeah, I think if I had the time to really strategize out exactly step by step what I do, I would do that. I would try to start there, because that's a method that you don't think about when you're new, but it's a way that you can start basically right away in your first 90 days with 1,000 to 2,000 clients under your belt.
Yes.
Even if maybe you're not getting all the revenue from that, you're getting enough, right? To basically be able to start building the building blocks that you need. That is, in my opinion, a great strategy if I was independent. Now, that being said, is that an easy thing to find that person? No,
it's not. Especially if you're looking for someone local to you. Definitely.
I'd probably kill myself trying to find the person. Like that's how much effort I would put into finding
Yeah.
that person.
I agree. Christian labeled that as a power move in Nashville. Now that
Mhm.
you brought that up, and it absolutely is. And you could do that at any point in your career, you guys. You could be more established and come across an agent that's trying to retire. You don't have to be a brand new agent to take advantage of a deal like this. Because again, remember, the problem that they have as an agent trying to get out of the business is who's going to help my clients. And so if you can facilitate that problem, it can be very lucrative for you to work out a deal with them. There's a question here in the chat. Is there something else you wanted to say on that?
I was just gonna say, I know we got off to a later start today. I wasn't sure if we wanted to go to a full hour as normal or if we wanted to move into final thoughts, because we could probably do a part 2 on this tomorrow potentially, because this is a pretty big topic. I don't even know if we gave it another 10 minutes, we could give it all the time it needed.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Let's do this. There's a question here in the chat. Why don't we answer this question? We'll kind of wrap it into final thoughts. And if you guys want a part 2 on this, comment below. We'd love to discuss this some more if it's something you guys want to hear more about. The question comes from Carter. He says, what are 5 things you would do daily if you were starting from day one with no money? So I think I'm a big fan of habits and routine. So I think creating a routine of like 5 things that you do every single day, I think would be great. So if I was starting over day one, this is off the top of my head, referral partners would be one, trying to find people. This would basically be like grassroots marketing. You're going door to door, people in your community, businesses in your community, you're telling them who you are and what you do, asking for referrals. I am on the phone every single day for a set amount of time, either a total amount of time I'm targeting or it's a part of my schedule that I know I'm going to be on the phone. This is probably the only reason I'm sitting here today is because I invested as much time on the phone as I did early on in my career. I just knew I had to do it. I knew I had to do it. 3 would be I'm definitely starting to staff up and I'm investing time into other people to help me grow the business. Even if you're a brand new agent, you can hire a 10-hour a week assistant, at Hire Heroes as an example. You can spend $100 or a couple $100. You can cash flow that immediately. You can hire someone for 10 hours a week to help you, and you can cash flow that immediately with 1 extra sale. So I am literally from day one, if I was starting over, I would try to hire someone, even if it was just 10 hours a week to start. Shout out Hire Heroes. And I'm investing time in training that person to be exactly the person that I need to help grow the business and help me do the things that I need to do. 4 would probably be my physical health. This has been a big one. Christian and I have spent some time on the show talking about how we're both trying to improve our physical health. I think it's easier to operate as an individual if you're in better shape, you're eating better. I think that's definitely helped me on my journey, and for a long time I neglected that. So that's probably something I would build into this too. It's working out, investing in what you need to stay healthy. I think that's super important. And then 5 would probably be like accounting / CRM, tracking your clients and tracking the money and spending some time daily checking that, making sure that the money's being deposited and that the clients are in the CRM, something like that. So that was kind of my rapid fire 5 things I would do daily. Final thoughts, guys. Comment below. Freebie Fridays tomorrow. We'd love for you to be a part of the giveaway. 7-Figure University. That discount disappears tomorrow night. Don't sleep on it. Links in the chat. Christian, final thoughts on episode 111.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, we're already seeing some comments for requests for part 2. I think we run it back part 2 tomorrow. Because there's a lot still to be said. But yeah, I mean, I think the most valuable thing you can have is your knowledge and your experience, and that can never be taken away from you. So if you have that and you develop that, you develop your 10,000 hours, as Malcolm Gladwell said in Outliers.
Yep.
you are primed to jump right back in. How many people do we know that sold their businesses, waited out a non-compete, and then jumped right back in and destroyed it once again, you know?
So I know so many agents who fit that bill.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, you know, that's why they say like investing in yourself and your education is the number one investment you can make. And yeah, I think we'll run this back tomorrow because this is a great topic. Guys, appreciate you watching all the way to the end. Hope you enjoyed it. Episode 111. And make sure to like, comment, subscribe, comment for Freebie Friday on the Facebook live stream, and like, comment, subscribe on YouTube, audio only platforms, however you might be listening. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Here's to your success and your abundance. Appreciate everybody watching, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks, everybody.